Yeah, Nara off the board here. They're going to take away Azir from Bay. Do they ban something like a set? I don't think so. Especially with Graves in the jungle. So, what is in fact going to do the ban here? Becca says enough with the headset. Puts it back on.
And the counter pick potential is here for DRX. DRX, in my opinion, has not been a team that's as reliant or like doesn't like to utilize the top lane counter pick, which is something that, of course, we just saw happen in the match between Liv Sandbox, and something that also Gen G really likes to do, putting Rascal on the matchup. Summit has also done that very well. As there is the Jace ban, because that is, of course, then the type of poke style. We've already seen how much havoc Jace and Nidalee can wreak, although the first game of Lost Series, not the second one. We don't talk about that one. This is cute. I like the hover, you know. Shout out to Rich for the Cassiopeia, which, while inventive, most definitely did not work. As we get the Syndra for Solka, it's straightforward. It gets you prio. I think the dueling potential with Nidalee is nice up until the point where your opponent starts itemizing against your damage. And DRX is just a super straightforward team comp, right? Like, this is very akin to what we've seen them play before. If they hadn't banned the Gragas herself, I'm sure that would have been the top laner. As the Sion is getting hovered here by Rich, love this. I think this is the right approach because Rich's laning phase has been kind of one of the weak spots of Nongshim. And Sion, you just sit and chill. You know, you're just there, and you just gotta take it easy. And I quite like that. As no, we're not getting pranked by this. We know that there has to be an AP mid lane.
They're just gonna pick Orianna.
Yeah.
Nobody got excited. I saw the brand. I got a little bit excited.
Yeah, I know. I could see it.
But Orianna.
I was immediately like, oh yeah, please do it. Do it. I keep waiting for people to really, really punish the Sion. I think the Darius, things like the Urgot would also work. This is a really interesting counter pick that we've not seen for a while, but Shogoth is actually really good into tanks for a multitude of reasons.
Jax?
Even better. Oh my god, yes please. Okay, so, listen.
Man, DRX.
Jax has becoming more popular slowly. I think we've seen him in the LPL a couple of times as well. And the beautiful thing about the Jax is he does actually provide setup for the Nidalee, but most importantly, like the split boost pressure that we always talk about is just impeccable. I think that the one downside of Jax that you don't have with something like a Camille is that his team fighting is a lot weaker. Camille is as strong as she is because outside of having a Cho'Gath ultimate on a Q, she also is able to reliably engage team fights. That's not the case. King in here is picking this purely for the lane matchup. And the ability to like look for these 2v2, 1v1s, because Jax and Nidalee is actually disgusting, right? Like the amount of mobility and lockdown and burst that you have available. I'm wondering what build he goes here though, because I can see an argument for him going into like kind of a, you know, Blade of the Ruined King oriented build where you try to actually shred down rage, but you can also just say, I'm just going for like 100% straight split push, because I don't think you want a team fight into this comp here from Nongshim, and that's, as a whole, knowing the forms of DRX, I clearly favor them here just because I think that this team has kind of, they've earned their confidence, right? Like, they've picked really difficult poke compositions and I was like, oh, can they do it? And then they did. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. However, Nongshim have a composition that if any of your like free carries get fed, you're golden. If you get into the mid game on even footing, you're golden. This comp plays itself. And from a team like Nongshim where their strength has been team fighting, I applaud this.
And one of the most important words you use is it's straightforward, it's simple. Right?
Yeah, plays itself.
When you're not winning a lot, don't complicate things. Don't try to play 1-3-1s. Don't pick weird stuff. Just play standard, straightforward. Play team comp, team fight oriented compositions. Play front to back. Try to not lose lane, and then eventually win game. I like the idea. Whereas DRX have a little bit more of a leash to do interesting things, different things that we haven't seen before. You know, like the Jax coming in here. I was thinking, you know, maybe we throw it back to Aurelia. Kingen already has a couple of wins on the Aurelia. I don't think he has a win against a Sion on the Aurelia, but he definitely won a couple of times against Gnar in my recent memory. And it's definitely just another one of those picks, right, that tries to punish the Sion in the lane and not just let him get free laning and tankiness into the mid game.
Well, then, you know, tanking at Tanking a full charge decimating smash is not the way to go. Kingen. He's ready, right? He's posturing, he's looking.
This is like Rengar here. He's
yeah.
like, when am I gonna
Standing in
jump
the
out of the
brush.
bush?
Has gone for the Counter-Strike level 1 as well, so you can actually like reliably get a lot of damage down on Rich if Rich overextends into that. Not as much damage, of course, if you do go for the W for some empowered attacks.
Oh, we're missing the top tree.
Oh, that is... yeah, I don't know how we're swapping to this. It's Alistair level 1. Nothing should happen. And if it does, it's really bad news here for DRX.
It's just typical shenanigans for the Rel at level 1, just being annoying. And it looks like Kingen did get behind on the trade that he did go for. I was watching it on the minimap, but he still, of course, is going to have great control over the lane. And Sion, again, the main thing is that he just doesn't get a free lane where he gets to farm and get tanky for free, and that he actually does get punished. We've been singing the praise of Sion, but then once all these counter picks started coming out, we're like, maybe there is an answer.
I would have liked to say, I think the Cho'Gath that was already pointed out is actually really good, specifically because of the amount of true damage he has, as well as his max health shred. And then I think things like traditional, we've already talked about the Camille a lot, something like the Urgot also. It's actually, I think, really, really strong on 11.5. It's getting nerfed on the next patch, right? Has a really ridiculous amount of damage with the on-hit modifier buffed on this patch, which was then immediately reverted, right? They weren't like, we're not going to over-nerf him, but that buff was not a good idea. We should not have done that.
You were talking about the Black Cleaver buffs as well.
Yeah, so it was mainly the fact that like Titanic Hydra got like a 75% on-hit modifier on Purge, which means that basically, I think the win rate for Titanic Hydra first, so not even like Mythic first, right, or Black Cleaver, you go Hydra first was like 58%, which is, that's too much.
A problem?
Yeah. And this is why I don't love the Graves into Nidalee pick, because while Graves is able to match well in farm, historically the Nidalee has been the counter pick into Graves, not the other way around. Like, think back to the Worlds meta where you pick the Nidalee because she can farm as well as the Graves does, but then she also just has a generally great matchup into him with the amount of damage that she has available. Ahsoka, just Syndra things, you know. Trade your mana buff for perma-prio and a lot of harassment. Kingen has to go back here.
Yeah, this is going to be a good push for Rich. Will be able to crash that wave, I believe, as long as he gets through that cannon minion on time. Kingen going to have to TP back here, as he was taking aggressive trades, but he ran out of mana, so he actually couldn't really continue the pressure that he was putting on there. Bottom side is going to be pretty interesting. Note that we've seen a lot of Tristana picked into the Kai'Sa as an answer, especially in the lane. And Duckdown picked Tristana first, and then Val just straight up locked it in. DRX is the team, I suppose I should say, because it was Solka who actually did the locking in of that pick. But certainly he seems pretty confident to take the Kai'Sa, says Kai'Sa's powerful anyway. I don't really care about going straight into the Tristana.
I think the Kai'Sa, like you said, it's kind of a self-counter, but simultaneously Bao and Back have been fairly stable. And keeping in mind that you want to go for like a punishment on the sign actually does make a lot of sense as well. As we already pointed out last match, if you do want to go for a full one, maybe a 1-3-1 style composition, in this case, of course, it will be a 1-full. I think the Kai'Sa works really well. Killer Instinct just provides you with so much easy rotations once you hit level 11, and it's something that teams don't really have to opt into, because Kai'Sa can also, of course, team fight really well, but it's something that, in this case, I think augments the strength of your composition. As Kingen is slowly starting to build his lead, and this is, of course, once as Jax, you get your ultimate available, right? Like, you get the passive, you get the autos in the longer trades, especially with Conqueror and your Sheen, you're actually really going to hurt the Science. So this is where I'd expect Kingen to start getting further ahead, although it shouldn't be more than, you know, a couple of waves, and we do see a big wave being stacked, so Rich should be able to catch up decently here. As we get some action on the bot side. Pioshik maybe looking for an invade, but then no camps up, unfortunately, for him.
They did see where Peanut was. He was actually clearing a ward up on the top side of the river, so looking to get a little bit aggressive on the bottom side, but that does mean that the third scuttle is going to go the way of Peanut here. Third scuttle on the map, not the third one that he has taken. I think they've split the first two, as you would expect. Faye getting a nice little push here. Very fast, gives him perfect back. He did miss that melee minion, but that's okay.
Forgive him for that, as Valdez is barely able to contain his disappointment and or anger. Having a rough time. I get it. It's not as bad as it can. You know, it could be worse.
I would have missed it as well. So
yeah, that's okay.
I understand.
It happens. It happens. One thing that I do really like that I haven't really talked about stylistically from this Jax pick is that Jax is like, it's one of the most archetypical like late game win conditions, right? Within League of Legends as they go in here.
Yeah, looking for an aggressive trade. Becca is going to take a bunch of damage, but still has a couple of potions, and he is Alistair, so he'll be just fine.
There's no heal available as well, so that actually means that in a straight up 2v2, DRX are not able. We haven't really talked about this, but Bao going for the cleanse means that his survivability is good. A dive here coming in. They're not level 6 yet.
Level 6 for Peanut. They're trying to get on top of Bao here. The burst damage isn't enough. It might just be Duck Dom straight up killing him. Hops away. And they juggle that turret aggro perfectly. Do Nongshim, they're going to get a double kill this early on for Duck Dom's Tristana. Say goodnight to that bottom lane. Not looking good. Pioshik's just playing with his Scion up here. But, man, that is a huge win for Nongshim.
That is just beautifully executed as well. They find the shove. It's just at the right timing, right? Because if Bao and Becca are 6, that play never works. So it's the last window of opportunity that they get to make it work. The initial aggression there also makes a lot more sense now, knowing that Peanut is on his way. As I think there is a lot of vision available here. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to see Peanut there. It doesn't really matter because, as you say, like, Dogdom is one of the big carries for Nongshim. Tristana is one of the hardest snowballing AD carries that we have within the meta at the moment. And you just gave one of the win conditions for Nongshim Redforce a 2-0 lead. And if they pick up a Rift Herald as well, yes, DRX is good when they're in a late game position, but Nongshim, I'm super impressed, right? Like, this is the type of team comp where I wouldn't be surprised if they just sit back and like do nothing for 20 minutes, which honestly, like, I could see that. But instead they're playing proactively, and it's really nice to see as we get a trade for objectives, as there will be a Drake for a Rift Herald here.
Yeah, and DRX knew that was coming. They did have a little zombie ward, I think it was, in the brush, so they were able to spot that. Unleashed Power is going to come out here. Bay getting pretty low, but he did go for the Merc Treads first. Definitely you go for that or the Verdant Barrier early on into the double AP. Just a little tip there so you guys don't just die to the Syndra in the lane. And here's another look at this dock.
And as you said, it's just super well executed, right? Like, Dogdom can go in this aggressively because he gets the reset on his W, and Callan is just diving this wave beautifully. And then this second one where Callan just uses the Q, right? Just because he knows I can take another hit, I have my shield available from the crashdown. And again, if at level 6, that's just not an option anymore. Like, that was the last possible moment where as Nongshim you can make that dive work. And honestly, I'm getting, like, when I saw Peanut move up, I was a bit worried. I'm like, this I don't know how I feel about this, but they execute it perfectly. And yes, DRX is a team that historically have done really well once they get past, you know, like the 25-minute mark. But a fat Tristana, like, you can be cute, you can be cheeky, but that's not something where you can like generally outsmart it, because she kills your turrets and she kills you and she kills objectives, and basically she just mauls everything if she gets at. And another play towards this bot side here.
Yeah, they get Prio in mid lane, which allows Bay to rotate down, and you know, they don't even have to kill the bottom lane of DRX. They just get the turret low and they drop the Rift Herald that they got very early on. And this is going to be first turret given over to Nongshim at 10.5 minutes. And yeah, Oriana's not super happy about the lane placement, but who cares? Who cares? Your team is so far ahead after that.
That is, yeah, Dokkan is really far ahead right now, and so is Peanut. Pioshik not having any impact as of yet here on this pick with the Nidalee. And they need to start finding kills, they need to start finding objectives, because right now they are just losing left and right. Now, the upside is, as we said before, DRX is a team that can do really well even when they are playing from a deficit.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like this comp necessarily enables that. I think if you're on even footing, you're fine as King. And
oh, is this really happening? The level 7 Tristana is flashing after the level 9 Jax is not going to get the kill. but it was really close. That was oh, Peanut might be able to pick it up here. He's gonna get the vision. You can see he's thinking about it, but the collateral damage not going to actually land onto King. And as the rotation is matched here from DRX.
Good catch by Bao there, but might have tanked a little bit too much damage there. They need to clear the wave. Dr.
He's trying to get on top of Duckdom. He doesn't have his flash. He just turns it onto Bao. Bao is going to get in there, though, with the killer instinct, and at least tries to turn it around. But this is a huge team fight for the side of Nongshim. They have the damage, and they're going to shut down that pitiful Jax as well. And that's going to be a couple more plates into the pockets of Nongshim on top of the fight.
Nongshim sees Liv Sandbox win the game, and they're like, guys, we need to stay ahead of them. We can't afford to lose. And their early game has just been impeccable. Like, they're playing through Dogtown. Yes, him dying is a bit of a bummer. I think he was a little bit over-aggressive there. But the way that they just keep matching these rotations really, really well, as we see the double teleport come in there, right? Like, it might just look like a single one initially, but there is Rich, there is Bay, and this is the dream for Nongshim. This comp wants to do one thing, and it's 5v5 team fight. Generally, it takes you a little bit longer. You need to hit your item spikes first, but if you're in an advantageous position like this, and the enemy is already low, then the base damage is more than enough, and we see Nongshim with a really big lead in the early game. It is not historically what this team has been known for. Super impressive here in the start of this game.
No, it's just really good proactivity down on the bottom side and a great response up on the top side. It seemed to be that they were reading that DRX were going in for that fight, and they prepared for it excellently. Made that team fight happen, as you mentioned. And now, from ahead, it's going to be difficult for this Kai'Sa Alistar lane to catch the wave safely, as we do have a little bit of a play on the bottom side, but Peanut is here looking to turn it around. Rich gets low, and so Peanut isn't going to overstay his welcome, just there to help out his top laner. As Bay, he's trying to play for DRX. His contract not available just yet, but you know, trying to swap sides, and now he's just gonna head up to the top side, help push this wave.
This might be, I mean, at least one or two plates going over yet again, and it could lead to yet another turret. Okay, just one plate. It's salvageable. As Divine Sunderer comes through for Kingen, so he is going to go indeed for like the more tank buster style, where you do have a lot more health available, makes team fighting a little bit more consistent. But I think as DRX, what you try to do here is you try to like just slow the game down as much as humanly possible. If you can get this Drake, you're in for that. That will be really good. Right, and then hope that you can out-macro and out-split push a composition that is just 100% going to out-team fight you later in the game. And they do not get Drake.
No, they're not going to get the Drake. I think even Pioshik might have been spotted on a ward there that is being spotted right now by Dona Strong. King comes down, spots the Graves here. It is going to be the Ocean Soul that does come in here.
Oh my god, if they get Ocean Soul with this lineup,
see ya.
Nongshim are just cruising toward a clean win here. Like, Tristana's really fat, so now as Nongshim, you can take fights way earlier than you really should be able to with this composition, because the composition from DRX generally has so much upfront burst that it's really hard for you to kind of deal with it. And if you find a straight up 5v5 early on, you'll generally be fine. But it feels like this game, like we're 25 minutes in, and DRX was supposed to have like had their moment. Instead, this has really been a game that has been in control from Nongshim from the beginning. There was no action early on, and then once there was action, it was just Nongshim playing again and again and again, finding these type of plays. And now I feel like for DRX, your win condition is slow the game down and hope that Kingen can carry, which there's so much hard engage available for Nongshim.
Yeah.
I'm not loving that plan, Valdez, but that's what it's looking like right now. Or Nongshim stop grouping and like people get caught. Like, that can still happen. But I get a feeling that Nongshim knows that as well, and it's just going to be like, guys, stand together.
We're a unit.
We're a unit.
Flying V.
Everyone huddle up. Okay, maybe Sign, you know, Rich can be on his own. That's okay.
Gotta socially distance as well. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not at Nongshim, right? Like right now, you wanna get close. You wanna cuddle up together in a nice, cozy environment, and just make sure that no one gets picked, no one overextends, and then you just walk up to the objective. You know, Sign in front, no poke is going to be relevant. This is one of those games where Pioshik would have, you know, would have liked to see a Moonstone. Because I don't think you're going to do any damage to Kalin or Bridge.
Yeah, that doesn't that item doesn't exist for
Syndra. No,
Korean
you're right.
junglers that play Nidalee specifically. Another nice amount of damage goes on the base. Still got some corrupting potion stacks, and his team is ahead, so he just gets bailed out in situations like this as well. Totally fine. Becca not able to get in there and help out on the pick. So now Nongshim are doing this thing where, you know, from ahead, there's not too many objectives right now. We get a big knock-up, though. That's going to be the spear on a Duck Dom, which is pretty nice, but we get the shockwave on Ahsoka. He gets zoned away from the fight. Now it's 3v2 in the jungle, as Kellen is pretty slow, but the horses close on right now. Another spear is going to hit, but with the heal coming out here, it looks like DRX do push them away, and, you know, it's okay. You know, that's one step kind of in the direction of DRX saying, hey, I mean, we can still execute better than you in some of these team fights.
And that is something that they have relied on historically, right? Like, this is a team where they looked a lot better in the second half of the split, but this is very reminiscent of early DRX. So we're like, how do they keep winning these games? And it's because in situations like this, they do play to their outs, right? Like, they realize that it's fine that you feel confident enough to take our Raptors, but we still have a lot of burst available. And even though the general like game state is not very friendly towards DRX, and I think they will get outscaled in terms of like just raw compositional advantages. If you look at like just the straight up amount of burst with Soulka, Bao, Pioshik like dive on top of someone, combined with Becca's impeccable engages, still need to respect that as Nongshim. And I think that this was very close to like a really big problem, because if Doctum dies there, then all of a sudden you're not very happy as Nongshim, because then that allows DRX to take back the tempo, and there's one thing this team's love, it's getting tempo back when they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. And the game certainly has slowed down, right? They've been kind of chilling out here. It does look like Nongshim do want to press the issue just a bit. They have the Tristana. That's a lot of damage on the Bao, who's now going to have to just back away, especially with Peanut coming in here. It's just 5 members grouping up. This is what you do with Nongshim. Syndra's in the top lane. Jax was bottom. You force a fight here. And now Becca is going to have to ultimate. He might still die as he just gets shredded to pieces. That Bay ultimate was pitiful, but it doesn't matter because they get another turret, and now we got Duckdom trying to get on in there alongside Rich. That was kind of 1-by-1. It was actually Peanut, not Duckdom. Scale forcing forward, trying to push the issue, whereas the rest of the team was looking to back.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That was definitely not the line. I actually, like, I would love if DRX go are trying to be a little bit cheekier and go for something, but yeah, Becca, Syndra's not there. Like, the teleport is getting channeled, but you're just getting on top of Peanut. Doc Dom is literally standing still and auto-attacking, which is what he'd very much like to do. Then the subsequent fight, I don't know, Peanut, you know, like, Rich and Peanut, I'm happy that you guys are ready to go in game, but if there's any champion bot sign, you just give over a Drake. But it's fine, so, you know, you get away with it. And, I don't know, did you see the damage that Pioshik was doing earlier to Rich? No? Exactly. No, that's
well, what are you talking about?
That's my case in point, yes. Yeah. And that's not going to change, right? I think that Rich is just going to be able to keep tanking these spears, and I'm not as big of a non-believer in Italy. I think that the pick definitely has value, but in these type of situations, if you don't find another lead, I'm not kind to this one specifically.
Yeah, you don't really do much. You know, if you find the Orianna isolated, I feel like that's pretty good. You know, a bit of poke damage through onto a Graves or a Tristana, but it doesn't really stick that well, especially when there's a Scion in the way.
I mean, Orianna has Merc Threads and Verdant Barrier. Like,
yeah,
I don't really think that even that. So then it's just Tristana, and Doctum is like, this is all you need to do. You stand behind 3 beefy people and you auto attack things. Easy as it gets?
Seems pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Listen, you know, Doctum like is a really good AD carry player, and you had to be a really good AD carry player to get into this position. But if you're this fat as Tristana, the beauty of it is you don't have to remain a good AD carry player. Like, you can just stand there and auto attack, right? And then Doctum has already shown that, unlike some other players that we've seen within the LCK, where you can get a little bit overexcited, I think, especially when Kaiser was just being meta, like the aggressive killer instincts were left and right. Dogdom, I have faith in him not to randomly jump forward, him recognizing that he is the win condition and just hanging back, you know, stand still and A-click things. That's perfectly fine. And what kind of baffles me is that if DRX wasn't planning to go for this more, like if you do want to straight up teamfight this comp, which like they've been doing thus far, right? Like King and every time, like he groups up with the rest of the team, like they keep grouping and then trying to like 5v5, just pick the Camille or the Cho'Gath,
yeah.
Because those picks provide way more in this type of situation if you do that. Instead, you're stuck with a Jax who, while I still think if you just free item power spike and you go off to a side lane, you're really, really strong. In the grand scheme of things, you're not providing a lot right now, and this is DRX basically just relying on their opponents not to win the game, and I think Nongshim is better than that.
Yeah, they've been pretty good, especially from ahead, as we have seen in some of their stats in their games. And yeah, I mean, as you're mentioning, this is one of those games where people are going to be like, why the hell did you pick Jax? What is the Nidalee doing? What's going on? But had the game looked differently and had they gotten ahead...
oh yeah, this is a very different game.
The split push would have been insane. You would have seen an aggressive Kai'Sa, an aggressive Nidalee. Even a Syndra would be commanding in her own lane. And now we're just having Nongshim just run at the Baron.
Yeah, this is looking like a classic I get your bottom outer and we get Baron. Although they do peel off here, which is interesting. Don't think they're the vision control that they'd really like. But they definitely, I think they could have gotten away with that easily.
Yeah. It's almost one of those scenarios where they're too safe.
Yeah.
You know, you're pretty far ahead. It's 23 minutes in, but you have the damage. Maybe you just run at it, and you're far enough ahead also that, especially without the Jax there, you could probably take a pretty good peel off of the Baron team fight. Just fight it front to back, send your Scion in. But Nongshim going to play it safe this time around. Maybe they want to get onto Soul Point or something like that first. Put some more pressure on. But for now, we're just going to be waiting, seeing what they have to provide us, scaling up with their comp. They've spread out pretty nicely themselves as well. They've thrown Bay up into the top side, and Rich is down here handling the Jax lane.
Ah, yes. 910 HP. 3 HP in 24 minutes. That is... that's fine for you. On the plus side, that just means that Kingen does more damage, but Kingen is then also the only one who can actually do relevant damage. Although the itemization from Bauer is really nice. We also see the double Void Staff. So, like, DRX are still in this game, and the only reason why they are is, I think, because we've seen that this team can make miracles happen if they are in relative even game state.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a disadvantaged position for them. I think if the Soul comes through for Nongshim, it is legitimately over, but... there are still openings. I think Kingen has just hit his Blade of the Ruined King, which is a really big 2-item spike. So DRX is spiking across the board, right? And this is like the type of moment where I'm like, maybe they can make the turnaround. Maybe they can find like a really good team fight, but compositionally, it should not happen.
Well, Pyosik going to be spotted out here. And the longer we sit and wait, without Nongshim getting some game-turning objectives, the stronger that Jax gets in the side lane. Of course, Nongshim's got some really great scaling in their composition as well, but it'll be up to them to force these 5v5 team fights, see if they can actually do that. Pyosik still looking to be relevant in this game. The Spears, even with the Void Staff, I'm not really feeling it too much. And no. DRX they're not grouping up for the Ocean Drake. They're just letting it go. Trust me, guys, they didn't forget about it. This is a decision made by the team to let this go. And they will hand over Soul Point to Nongshim.
I think that's okay. I think that if you give 5 more minutes, you might hit the 3 item spikes, which honestly, like for Syndra in Italy, I don't think they're particularly big. I think it's more for the Jax and the Kai'Sa where the damage output actually considerably spikes. Kingen, however, in a side lane right now in isolation should definitely be able to deal with Rich, right? Like that is a matchup that he should now win. This is where the Jack really starts to kind of outscale. I'm just afraid that Rich has gotten so far ahead due to the global goals and just the general state of the game that he can just like do this, keep clearing waves and then be completely fine. And then if you can't actually get damage done as Kingen, you're in for a rough one. On the plus side, if he keeps Sign locked in the lane, he's already doing his job. So remains to be seen to what extent DRX can make use of that, because even then the teleport comes through here.
Yeah, we're looking for a play now, trying to get on top of Pyosik, but he's just going to jump the wall, and DRX will disengage. And nobody even takes critical damage. Yes, they get the flash out of Pyosik, but that's in trade for Scion's teleport. That's going to feel pretty nice.
I was just supposed to, can you hear the dock, dock, dock? You know, the sound of. Thank you, Observers.
We got a little bit of that at the end. Don't worry, we'll get more.
Listen, that's the sound of you as Nongshim, like, that's the clock ticking. Because, like, I don't know how DRX do it, but I actually think, as we go back to the earlier point, like, I think there was a Baron window there. I think that a team like Damwon here would have gone for Baron 100% there and forced it. I think this is Nongshim actually being too scared and playing too defensively with the composition that just start the Baron, and if they come, just turn and they go in.
Well, this is one way to try to make things happen. They're going to force the ultimate out of Becca, and now Solka's in a really awkward spot. He has to flash, but he just gets burst to smithereens. See you later, Syndra. And, you know, if it wasn't going to come at the hands of just running at the Baron, they can get a pick and go into the Baron as well.
Oh, King, and look at the teleport to bot side.
Yeah, there we go. He's trying to push the issue here. And the Baron is started. They're going to get some vision onto Pyosik. We'll see if he can be the hero. The spear is going to land. We have that split push going in the bottom side as well. And it doesn't look like Pyosik wants to get in there. He's just going to bait the ultimate out. As now Kingen is being run down here a little bit. He's going to get that ultimate in the face. Has to flash away from Rich now. As the Counter-Strike is going to buy him some time. Can jump to the ward here and get out of dodge, it looks like. Did a bit of damage to that inhibitor, but at the end of the day, Nongshim do get this very important Baron.
That's a turret for a Baron. That is definitely not worth it, especially as this will be leading into a soul point coming through it. Super straightforward. Callan goes to the flash. Rel's engage, and I stand by this, I don't think it's incredibly strong without flash. But when flash is up, you need to be 100% ready because you know that Callan is going to go for this play. Even with your ultimate, like, you are not allowed to be there in that position.
Yeah.
For all I care, just, like, flash over the wall immediately, right? Like, just identify, like, if I get engaged on here, we immediately lose something. Becca is able to, in the end, walk away, but playing with Solka's life is not worth it as we get a trap set up here.
Trying to get onto Rich, and here comes Peanut. You can see the amount of damage he does as Pyosik has to hop out of that one. And they just can't even make it through the Rel. This damage isn't really sticking right now for the side of DRX. So nice amount of poke comes out from Nongshim, and now they will push with that Baron buff.
I think Nongshim, like, this game plays itself from here on out. You have the Baron buff, you can crash this huge wave into the turret. In a minute just before your buff times out, you will be able to pick up an Ocean Soul. And you're so fat. Look, like, Docdom is level 15. He's getting more and more range from his passive. He's able to just freely auto-attack. I don't see how as DRX should get back into this game.
Well, they're going to stop the inhibitor going down for now, but more waves are pressing in. You can see that Rich, you know, those void staffs, all of that tank, that anti-tank item choices coming in here from DRX are actually helping out. He can't just sit there and be a beefcake forever, as they do have enough poke to actually make it through some of his tankiness, at least for now.
I was about to say, like, this is a great tempo reset here. Nongshim has 5, go back, immediately spend all that money, and then make their way back over to the Baron pit. Maybe you get a catch here. That's how you can solidify this game as DRX. Otherwise, it's gonna be rough.
Ooh, that's going to be Rich going on in, and that's the repel as well. A ton of damage. Kingen is getting into the back line along with Bao, but Bao is just going to get blown up, and Kingen can't do it alone. And that's going to be exactly what Nongshim were looking for. The straight-up team fight is good enough, and that will be the Ocean Soul easily into the pockets of Nongshim.
And round the 1, DRX has come back, and so has Kasparkov Nongshim apparently, because they are looking super dominant here. And the big takeaway for me is that even with their lackluster mid-game, this early game is something that we've not seen from this team, and it comes off the back of that man in the jungle. He's almost Agent 007, not quite there. Combined with the power of Docdom and Callan in this bot lane that, as we said coming into this match, like, they're looking really good, right? Like, they're maybe the Aphelios fresh as a win condition there, but I wasn't expecting this level of early game dominance. DRX, the Jax pick, it was a nice idea, and I don't think it was the soul issue. There were a lot of issues here for DRX, but it definitely didn't help.
Well, you talked about the soul issue, and the only issue, but we also have a soul issue now.
Yes.
With the Ocean Soul. Haha!
You got him.
Wow.
I'm so happy. Thank you for that. We needed that, I think. You know,
that was good, yeah.
It had to be done.
Good timing. And we have 5 minutes until the Elder, so we're going to have to deal with that soul issue for quite a while. As you can see the team fight, it's just like, well...
Ah, yes, the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cyan actually does the most damage in his team fight, which is hilarious to me, and you do see an attempt to kind of get onto the enemy backline, but it doesn't do anything. Everyone is there to protect Dogdom, who I think, yeah, he had to use both Summons and his GA there, but if you jump in that aggressively and like you have your GA up, it doesn't really matter. The rest of your team is more than fat enough to get you from there, especially with that Ocean Soul now in the pockets of Nongshim. And honestly, DRX, like this is one of those games where we kind of had a feeling that this one was going to be over like 25 minutes ago. Like legitimately 25 minutes ago. And Nongshim, I think they can push way more than they have. But I can understand it from their perspective as well. This is a pivotal game for them, right? Like this is something that they've not been able to really show this kind of early game, to really show this kind of consistency, and they're just looking for the cleanest game possible.
All right, let's see. Okay. Thumbs up. He's like, yeah, good job on the wave, buddy. I don't want to fight you with the super minion. So I'll just go ahead and take this inhibitor. Thank you very much. This was pretty inevitable, right? King was eventually going to do this. And
yeah, but now what?
Yeah.
I don't think he gets through Cyan.
No.
Like he's built 2 tank shred items, but I don't think he's quite that. I think he needs magic.
He's actually flashing away. He's getting 1v1 by the Scion right now. Now, he's got to be a little bit careful. The Scion, you know, actually, never mind. He's still full health.
He has Ocean Soul!
Yeah, he's got Ocean Soul. Then they're just going to go ahead and dive the turret. Actually, we got a nice amount of damage coming out here from Bao. We got a couple of stopwatches coming in. But guess what? The guy who won the top fight is going to come in here with full health. And look at the guy on the right. Kingen has to go into the fountain, get his health back.
He teleported back to base.
Yeah.
Just to be there faster. And I couldn't not laugh at that, because I actually kind of like the idea of the Jax counter pick, and I'm now starting to wonder, do you ever have the damage? Because yes, of course, with Ocean Soul, like it's never gonna happen. But is there ever a situation in which you do? I think you might be building towards a Black Cleaver next, which you really need as... Oh, Becca. Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, at least... he doesn't have his ultimate here. And he is going to bait Peanut in. Peanut takes a huge amount of damage now. He's running away as fast as those little Graves legs can take him. And yes, he's going to get the safety, but now this is a fight that DRX could actually potentially win. Or can they? Scion is still alive, so I'm not actually sure. As that's a big ultimate coming in from Bay. Hasn't been looking good so far, but he gets the important one. And that should do it. Nongshim get a couple of big picks. We got 3 inhibitors down now. DRX are just on the run.
Look at the health bars, Valdez.
Yeah, they're all just gaining health here. They're all full at this point in time. Can they kill the Scion? The answer is obviously no. Imagine not picking Scion on 11.4. In this and 11.5 and in the near future as well.
Oh, Kingen.
Can he kill him?
Kingen.
Can he kill him before the Nexus dies? Kellen is going to die. Okay, Bao's also, and that's going to be the Nexus going down. And Scion does live, I believe, there. So that's going to be game number 1.